Welcome to episode 16 of Out of Bounds, a podcast where I give my social commentary on different topics in today's society. I'm your host, Terry, and today talking about the question of, can you be friends with your ex? And so I'm only going to give my personal thoughts and perspective on it. I'm not really giving you an answer. I mean, it's always about conversation. And so just kind of hopefully hearing from other people, but definitely just giving my own insight and where I'm coming from. And then other people feel free to kind of give your experience. So I think for me, the answer is no. Well, I would say for my history, the answer has definitely been no. But I think before even asking that or even talking about that, you got to think about the very basic question of, what does it mean to be in a romantic relationship with someone? And I say that as in, most of the times we say, okay, that's someone you really get along with and that you end up having a commitment with. But I guess the question really is, what's the difference between a girlfriend and a boyfriend or a friend? And so if you're looking for the qualities that matter, I would say, in my opinion, in a potential partner, then I would feel as if that should be the same thing with a friend. So I guess the question is, if, okay, I have friends. Look, my friends are funny. My friends are, they communicate with me well. I'm comfortable with them. We like the same things, all these different things. Whatever it is that you find comfort in a friend, how is that different than a partner? And so we're talking about a friend that is of the same, whatever it is that you look for in a partner. So for me, I look for women in a partner. So we're talking about my female friends. So what is the difference between a friend and a partner? And that's a big question, because some people tend to be like, well, that's easy. Oh, well, you're attracted to your partner. You're not attracted to such and such. But what is attraction? And is attraction always fixed? I don't think it is. I think attraction changes. Attraction can be partly physical. It could be partly, mental. It could be partly anything. And I think those things can change as you learn more information. And so I think people really have to dig into that, and not to cause drama to say that, you can't be friends with the same type of sex that you're attracted to. It's just more so something you have to think about and really question to yourself, well, what is the difference? Because I would argue that what we look for in a partner usually a lot of times is what we look for in a friend. I mean, we know it might be kind of cheesy, but we've heard people that always say, like, my boyfriend, girlfriend is my best friend. My wife, my husband is my best friend. And I think that's the way it should be, honestly. And so if you think of it that way, well, then a lot of your friends might potentially be somebody that's similar to your partner. And it's going to be different because some people value things more. Some people value personality more. Some people put all the value in physical attraction. It's like, yo, my girlfriend and my best friend are very similar, except my girlfriend is built like this, and so I'm sexually attracted to her. I would never be sexually attracted to my best friend. Some people aren't the same. Some people might put more value. Like, look, my partner is very sexually attractive, but the personality doesn't quite match up. It could be so many different things. And so I'm not going to put anybody in a box to say that, look, if your boyfriend, girlfriend is similar to your best friend, then, there's potential trouble. I don't know. You just got to ask that. So anyway, with that being said, the question talking about, well, can you be friends with your ex? I bring that first question up because it's like, well, what is the difference? And it's such a big thing because everybody's sometimes like, say you're with an ex and they ask you to do something. They ask you to pay for something or, just do something that you used to do when you were dating. It's going to feel weird and you're going to be like, well, why do I have to do that for them? As a friend, it's like, I'll do stuff for my friends because I know they'll do stuff for me and you got to have their back. But in a relationship, a lot of times it's just like, well, I'm in a relationship. I made a commitment. I need to live up to that commitment. And so I'm going to have to do some things that I don't want to do. I got to sacrifice. As they say, that's what love is, sacrifice. If you truly love somebody, then you won't have a problem sacrificing. But then when you're no longer quote unquote in love with them, when you're no longer in a commitment to them, do you have to then do those sacrifices? Of course you're going to sacrifice. You got a best friend. They want you to come over during the weekend and move. Or help them move, I should say. You gotta do physical labor you don't want to do, frustration, hot weather. You gotta do it on your day off when you're supposed to relax, and that's a sacrifice. Of course it is. But how far do your sacrifices go with a friend versus a partner? And I think that's when we really get to the crux of it, the difference. And so I just think about like, one of my exes. And so we're just sitting there kind of kicking it. We're not best friends. We're just like kind of border friends, but just asking me to do things that I used to do again when we were dating. But it's just like, well, it's weird that you're asking me to do that. And some people respond like, I'm not your boyfriend. I'm not your girlfriend, whatever. Some people respond like, that's not my job. That's a job for your man. That's a job for your woman, whatever. And so I think it really does come to task and responsibilities. And honestly, in a relationship, you don't have any responsibilities legally. You have a few legal responsibilities, in a marriage. Those are the ones that really control you. But as far as society responsibilities, we put so many ideas of what a boyfriend or a girlfriend does versus what a husband or a wife does versus what a best friend does. And so it's just levels to it, whether it be money, whether it be, again, using your time in physical labor, whether it be giving up something that you want to do something they want to do. Any of those things. And I think that's where it comes down to. Now, for me, if I'm reflecting and talking about, well, why haven't I been best friends with my exes? I think that goes to the emotional level. There's the surface level of things you got to do, but then there's the emotional level of, I just feel like, again, the circumstances are going to differentiate, as I should probably point out. It's going to matter who broke up with who. It's going to matter of why you broke up. What was the reason? It's going to matter of how you broke up. Was it a bitter ending? Was it a more sweet ending? It's going to be a matter of how good the relationship was and how long it lasted. If we broke up after 2 weeks, yeah, more than likely we're going to be friends. We broke up after 2 years, it's going to be a little harder. And so there's so many questions that go into it. And so for me, I have to put that context out there. Like, I never broke up with a girl. It's always been the opposite way around. Now, in my mind, could I say that means it's always my fault? Yeah. In my mind, could I say it was always their fault? They, the ones with the problem? Yeah. But the truth is, it's probably somewhere in the middle. But the fact is, I never broke up with a girl. And so for me, I've had relationships that have always ended with bad closure. There's not many that had good closure. Maybe one or two. And so for me, a lot of times, again, with my personality that you need to take into context, I don't let that stuff go. And it's not like I hold a grudge, but I don't let that stuff go. And so the few times I had people that try to be friends with me or whatever, it's like, look, I didn't want to end a relationship. I didn't sabotage it. I didn't like wish for you to end it. I didn't want to end a relationship. And I still don't know why it ended. And I still feel some type of feelings for you. There's some people that think you can't love more than one person at the same time. I think you can. And I feel like I'm one of those people, I don't forget those things and I hold on to those things. So it's like, look, I still have feelings for you. I've always have. I remember those good times. I didn't want them to end. You ended it and I didn't want them to end. And so now I'm standing here like trying to get those back. And so being friends makes it very complicated because you're asking me to do things that if I'm still feeling strong for you, it makes me think that we're back into our routine. And if I don't feel strong for you, it makes me think that, okay, you're trying to use me. And I'm like, look, I'm not your boyfriend. Ask the person that you chose to be your boyfriend. And so for me, being friends has always been contentious. And so I've heard many people say, yeah, I'm friends with all my exes. Or I hear friends like, oh, one of my exes is my best friend and all these different things. And I just wonder, cause for me, again, the answer is no, I can't be friends with my ex. And I guess even to that point, it depends on what you call a friend. Because people have real different definitions of friends these days. But I mean like talking every day, whether text or call. I mean knowing not everything, but knowing things about each other's life, not the surface level things, but knowing a good amount of detail, asking each other for advice, for help. I can't do it. And maybe I attach too much of me doing things with being in a relationship. Because some people get to that. It's like, okay, we're in a relationship. That means I have to do things. And the psychology and the research of today's generation, as some people say, the hookup generation, proves it, is that relationship is synonymous with emotional emotional labor. And so people think relationship means that I have to do things. And so if I'm not in a relationship, I don't have to do things. I might sleep with you and then sleep with somebody the next day, but hey, we're not in a relationship. I don't owe you anything. I might sleep with you and never text you again. I don't owe you anything. Hey, I might talk to you for 2 years straight and then one day ghost you. Hey, I don't owe you anything. That's the way the generation operates now. So maybe we have been taught relationship equals emotional labor. That means when I commit and say, yes, we're in a relationship, crap, now I got to do stuff for you. And so since we're not in a relationship, you ask me to do stuff. Hell no, I'm not doing that for you. But then that goes back to your definition of friendship. And so I think we just need to reconceptualize it all as a society. But, when you're just talking about the question of can you be? Yes, you can, depending on the situation. And I guess for me, I always say no, but I depend. I depend on what the situation was and your personality and who's involved. Because again, for me and the way I operate, no. I've had many girlfriends, none I'm friends with. And I had some complicated situations and a couple that I try to be friends with, but it's hard. It's really hard. I want to know why we didn't work out. I want to know why you acting like you're so impressed with me or you're so happy to be with me, but you weren't happy enough to stay with me. And so maybe, again, that's just my makeup that makes it hard for me to be friends with your ex. And so I see people that are friends with the ex, and it's not a whole bunch, so it's not a big sample size, but I would say for the most part, it's just people that never got into that deep type of love. I rarely see somebody like, yeah, I'm friends with such and such, we used to date, and it was something that where it was like, I could see me marrying this person. We were so deep in love. because love makes you do crazy things. It's hormones, it's emotions. And so to be that deep in love with somebody and then to let it go and then be friends, I don't know, because most of the time, whenever I see somebody that is really good friends with someone they was really in love with, it's always this waiting game. It's like, yeah, I'm doing this right now, you're doing this right now, but if things fall apart and we got one lonely night, call each other up, why not rekindle it again? And I've went through that with the few that I have been friends with, where it's like, okay, you moved on. Look, it's not like that anymore, Terry. Okay, cool. And then one night after you broke up and we're both single again, we catch each other at the right time. It's back on and popping. And so sometimes that turns into a new relationship. Sometimes that turns into marriage. Sometimes it's a one night stand. It just depends on the situation, which is I don't think it's a cop-out answer. It's the truth. The world is not black and white. I would say from my experience though, from always being the one that's not breaking up with somebody, from the one that remembers and holds on to memories very easily. And I could step into a memory and feel exactly how I used to feel in that memory. And so from my point of view, it's darn near impossible to be friends. It is darn near impossible. Unless we really had a come to Jesus, cry it out session where we figured out why it didn't work and we just agreed that we don't work for each other, then I could probably be friends. But I've never had that. To me, it's always been, I don't see why we don't work. Even if you might feel that way, we never talked about it. We never worked it out. So could you be friends? It depends. I would say, but, would love to hear from everybody else. Go to comment section. Let me know what you think. Can you be friends with your ex? Are you friends with your ex? Do you know people that's friends with an ex? And how do you make it work? Does it not work? Go to comment section. Share it around. Get the conversation started. Thumbs up, subscribe. And until next episode.